Leaving the pricing aspect aside, what normal a layman customer looks after when buying a home?
Space utilization, lesser passages wherever you can provide for. These are very, very important.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Spotlight with Shera. Mumbai real estate is a jungle where everyone is selling a dream but few are delivering it. Today I am joined by Ajay Vaswani, who swapped his career to build ultra luxury properties in Mumbai region. So now when we see from Sobo till Borivali, 1 BHKs are being missing. What is your take on it?
1 BHK comes down to one thing, affordability.
Juhu is always called as a premium segment for everyone. So what a buyer who is taking a project there, they already have everything. What different you provided to them? We'll be discussing about his real estate journey, what really real estate market looks in 2020-26, and the most important, is it the right time to buy a house in Mumbai? Real estate developers are burning crores to promote their projects on social media. You aren't. Why so?
On a lighter note, Chirag, we're too cool to burn crows on social media.
Talking about the timing of the market in real estate. Everybody is asking when to buy a property. As a developer, what you suggest? What is the right time to buy a property?
Today.
So does a new coastal road or a new metro which are coming to the areas of Versova, Charkop it has reached Worli. So does they really bring a value to your home or it's just a marketing thing? Negotiating with a landlord or convincing a BMC officer?
You mean which is harder? Okay, I'm going to make sure I don't fall in trouble, so it's the first one.
Okay. Before we dive in, this episode is powered by our partner, Kalpataru Doors and Plywood, India's #1 door manufacturing brand. If it's premium, it's Kalpataru. Now, let's dive into the incredible journey of Mr. Ajay Vaswani. So, Ajay, welcome to my show called Spotlight with Chirag.
It's an absolute pleasure being here, Chirag, and thank you for having me on your show.
Chalo, great. So basically, I have a big team of 1 people. That is me itself, where I research, I study more about my guests who come to my show. So your journey, I feel it's more inspiring. I guess when I was studying about you, you have done hotel management, an industry which belongs to trust, emotion, services. When you entered into construction site, so did you see square feet or did you see people?
So, Chirag, there's a small backstory to the introduction that you just made about my educational background. Has been quite unconventional because traditionally, if you see, most of the second, third generation, young leaders who've gotten into the industry, most of them either have an MBA in finance or an engineering degree or architecture. But my father recommended that I study hospitality because we, as a group, at that point in time, in the early to mid 2000s, we had this potential idea of getting into hospitality a little more actively. And at that point in time, most of the hotels in India were freestanding independent properties that were run by families. There were only just the larger ones that were run by brands. So we thought that that's going to be a business vertical for us going ahead. So my father said that why don't you study hospitality, and we could potentially take this idea off the ground. So that's when I decided that, yes, this idea sounds very appealing. And that's when I decided to go and complete my education in hospitality. Now, the fulcrum of hospitality is the customer. Everything starts and ends with the customer's experience. So whether it's a housekeeping experience, whether it's an F&B experience, or whether it's a front desk experience, there are multiple areas of hospitality wherein there is a high engagement of the customer. So I was, quite blessed in terms of the education that I received and the experiences that followed in, a couple of, the world's best hotels, where I had that experience of what it feels like to interact with the customer, what it feels like to make the customer's wish list come true. And eventually what happens after a customer exits the property is that there is an impact on his mind about how the hotel and how the brand made me feel about it, you know. And when I fast forward my real estate career, which I did come to a few years later, and coming back to your question about what did I feel when I stepped onto my site the first time around, My question was to myself, how can I replicate some parts of what I've learned and experienced in hospitality into our core business of construction and and redevelopment going ahead? How do we make the customer? How do we make the society member? How do I make my own team members feel that we're all part of one large knit unit? So I've never really seen it from a purely concrete perspective, but more from how do we make them feel better about their interactions with Vaswani perspective.
So, Ajay, when you started working with your elders, what was the hard lesson that they taught you no classroom or a boardroom would teach you?
There was only one golden rule: ethics are not negotiable. The business can grow slow, the business can grow fast, the business can stay static. Ethics cannot be going low, and ethics cannot go lower. Ethics have to be where they are, or it has to grow higher. That is absolutely an uncompromised formula that the family taught me, and I am grateful. I am blessed to be born in this family that I have. The brothers that I have, I'm the youngest in my generation. The kind of support that I've received from them on my journey in at Vaswani, and from my family elders to my father, my chacha as well. They've been a blessing in disguise. And yes, when we are now entering this new phase of growth in Vaswani, what I learned almost 20 years ago, there has been no change to that. So when it comes to ethics, when it comes to transparency, when it comes to trust, these three have to be rock solid at all points in time. And that is something that I have imbibed deeply, and I do continue to carry that part of the legacy forward as part of a larger group. And also with my team members, I make sure that I'm constantly having conversations around maintaining ethics, transparency, and trust, because these are the hallmarks of what the foundation of Vaswani's birth has been on. And we will make sure that this continues forever.
Okay. So now you told about your family. What are the pillars? Like, what is everyone's role in the family?
So we do not divide our work on the basis of projects, because that would create more confusion than it would create solutions. So what we do is that basis of strengths, we do divide it on the basis of departmental execution. Like I personally take care of sales and marketing and projects execution and approvals as well. And then my other two brothers, they take care of business development, legal, purchase contracts, and admin and finance as well. So we divide work, we don't divide projects. And that gives us a longer chain to work with each other and to iron out any flaws in projects as well. And we sit together, we put our minds together, and we make sure that decisions are conveyed to the team clearly. We communicate very, very clearly on a daily basis with everybody, and we make sure that our projects are always executing and completing before time, because that's our new motto that we've developed over the last 2 to 3 years, that on time is passe, before time is a thing.
So we were talking about generations. Now you are the third generation.
Second generation.
So when you enter for any of the architect or building, so do you see designs, do you see blueprint, or do you see your legacy, how they can take the journey way forward?
Uh, I first try to envisage a legacy. I work backwards. I see that, okay, how can we make a Vaswani legacy in this project? How do we go back 3 years and feel that, wow, we actually lived up to what we set out to do 3 years prior. So legacy being one, and obviously that's the larger goal. But foundationally speaking, one thing that we start with working with architects first is that we want to make sure that we have the best plan possible. And there is absolutely no compromise on that in terms of space usage, in terms of Vastu compliance, in terms of entry exits, in terms of convenient and easy engineering. So these are some of the key factors in which we identify how we're going to be executing these projects and maintaining the Vaswani legacy going forward.
So Ajay, it was great to know about your legacy, the aspect that you are taking forward in Vaswani projects. Moving forward towards real estate and customer perception, you have been interacting with many customers. person who is aspirational buyer, people who look after luxury as well. Leaving the pricing aspect aside, what normal a layman customer looks after when buying a home?
So, Chirag, there's one thing that's been clear over decades, and it has been constantly reinforced year on year that your plan has to be almost near perfect or close to perfect. Planning is very, very important. Space utilization, lesser passages wherever you can provide for. These are very, very important aspects of the aspirational as well as the luxury customer. So these are the common parts. Now, if I bifurcate the two in terms of where the aspirational customer is, yes, he is a little more on the price sensitive side, but he also will spend more time in looking at multiple options, opportunities, looking at maybe higher carpet areas wherein you can compress the price. So he will look at more options, more opportunities, and then come to the table to negotiate with you, and perhaps take a little extra time to close the transaction and move ahead. When it comes to the luxury buyer is one of the most educated, most well informed, and most well experienced buyer. He or she has perhaps traveled the world, lived in the finest hotels, dined in the finest restaurants. So their experience is something that you can't really be talking too much about it to them in terms of your product. They've already researched your product and they've come, so they know what they want. You have to just keep the basics there and just try and offer them something out of the experiences that they captured on their global travels or in their India travels as well. So, a better offering in terms of, certain branded equipment, certain, brand tie-ups that you can do, that really helps with the luxury and the ultra luxury buyer.
So, what kind of brand types helps?
It could be co-branded residences with one of the global big brands, or in terms of let's say doing some high-end kitchen, modular kitchens, providing for much better quality windows. So few of these are critical. The customer does pay attention to these things and has an idea of which brands you are going to be supplying in that house.
So before we started this conversation, you said a word called as planning. So now when we see from Sobo till Borivali, 1 BHKs are been missing. What is your take on it?
So predominantly the 1 BHK development has now moved from Daisar and beyond, because 1 BHK comes down to one thing: affordability. And affordability means you can't go beyond a certain price band, So it is a little constraining for developers in the relatively prime areas of the city, whether it's from South Mumbai to the western suburbs and the eastern suburbs, to be providing for 1 BHKs. However, if the government came up with some kind of policies in terms of stamp duty reduction, or in terms of GST rebate passback, yes, then 1 BHKs can be planned for, so that they don't compromise the developers' bottom line too much. And yes, you can probably regenerate those 1 BHK buyers and accommodate them in the western suburbs and the eastern suburbs too. you know. On the flip side, we've also seen post COVID that average 1 BHK buyer has also become more aspirational. So he's wanted to move from a 1 to 2. Hence, the supply of 2 BHKs, if you notice, in the western, eastern suburbs and other parts of the MMR, has probably increased by 3 or 4x and has been absorbed as well.
So Jay, we were talking about luxury and aspirational buyer. I was passing by Juhu. I saw your project Seascape in Juhu. Juhu is always called as a premium segment for everyone. So what a buyer who is taking a project there, they already have everything. What different you provided to them?
So, Chirag, we've focused on what the customer's needs were in terms of the luxury customer, about his experiences, like I was talking to you about earlier. We've made sure that we're giving bare shell units, so they have the freedom to plan and replan and design it the way they want to, as per their likes. Uh, we are also focusing on the facade. We're going to be dry cladding it. We have a a very important a facade partner on board with us as well. So we're going to be doing something very unique in terms of the facade. We're going to be dry cladding the entire building. The lobby is going to be looking absolutely marvelous once it's ready. We have a exceptionally fabulous rooftop with an infinity pool with a beautiful view of the ocean, of the Jew Ocean and the beach, and the upcoming coastal road as well. So yes, in terms of parking, we're making sure that we do not have any mechanical parking systems here. We have three basements, all surface parkings for all our customers as well. So yes, we have been keeping our ears open. We've been listening to what the customer has to say, and we're extremely proud, happy, motivated that Vaswani Seascape is our marquee project and our entry in Jew as well. So we're really, really looking forward to delivering before time. Probably one of the most exceptional products in Jew.
So what are the numbers we see normally when there's a project at Juhu? How are the walk-ins and these are things are being managed?
So in Jew being a different market in terms of ticket size, you're not going to get walk-ins every weekend. But when the walk-in comes, it's a customer who is exactly aware of why he's coming to you. He knows that he's already identified your product for whatever reasons that he thinks is suiting his purpose best, whether it's the planning, it's the location, it's the parking, anything. So we don't necessarily have walk-ins every weekend, but when we do have walk-ins, those walk-ins 99% of the times are turning to revisits.
So when you make these homes, is privacy a new big thing if we can say in 2026?
Uh, the genesis of this word privacy has been more enhanced post-COVID, because post-COVID, once we were up and about after the lockdown, the customers' requirements changed. They wanted larger spaces, and apart from the privacy factor, they also wanted privacy within their homes. Should there be a need in the future for another work from home that may happen, they would like to probably have a small home office or a small social room where they can sit and conveniently work, or maybe even in the complex of the building where they're staying, could potentially have a small business center, where they can access the internet and have their video calls as well. So yes, privacy is enhancing, it's growing, it's getting better, and developers are aligning with the customers' needs as well on the privacy part.
So Ajay, Juhu is always considered as a premium market in real estate. Your project is in Juhu. So how have been your sales number for the last quarter?
So Jew traditionally has been more in the double-digit crore northwards figure, because the profile of the buyer is anyways on the luxury to the ultra luxury side over there. We have had a lot of positive traction and a lot of affirmative feedback from the walk-ins that we've had. Our clients are primarily either family business owned or top shot high ranking professionals, who are looking at elevated luxury lifestyles, and they wish to be in Jew and as close as possible to the beach, which our project is as well. So yes, our walk-ins have been great so far, and the customer knows why they're coming to us, because we are ticking the boxes that they are looking at in terms of bare shell apartments that gives them the flexibility to plan and execute the homes to their wish list. And also a very critical part is our parking, is that we have surface parkings, three basements. We have no mechanical car parking. That's been a pain point of customers that we've been hearing of late. So we've aligned on that front too. We have a absolutely stunning rooftop with amenities, an infinity pool with views of the lovely ocean and the sunrise. So yes, we have had a very, very positive quarter so far with our walk-ins and our customers.
So Ajay, whenever I cross Juhu, I see your projects I told you. But at the same time, when I open my phone, I open my Instagram, I don't see your ads. Real estate developers are burning crores to promote their projects on social media. You aren't. Why so?
Uh, on a lighter note, Chirag, we're too cool to burn crows on social media. But having said that, the digital medium for marketing is here to stay, and it's not going anywhere. So we do have a more strategic outlook towards social media and performance marketing. and we do discuss it internally as to what project, what ticket size requires social media presence, and we are going to be gradually increasing our exposure and our brand on social media going ahead. It's down to eventually the ticket size, it's down to the product. The ultra luxury and luxury doesn't require a heavy amount of investment in social media. The brand requires it, yes. But going ahead with our more aspirational products that we're going to be launching this year, there will be a significant and a substantial amount of social media presence of us. And you will see us on mediums like Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook going ahead for sure.
So you are going to start your social media campaign that you just told
Absolutely.
right now.
Yes.
So currently, how has been your sales more towards example, what kind of home you are building that your customer itself is becoming your salesperson? What's the secret sauce behind it?
So we have a fabulous relationship with a lot of channel partners, and they have been doing a lot of heavy lifting for and with us in terms of assisting in getting clients to the site and helping us close transactions too. So channel partners form a significant part of our sales. There's no question at all about that. Referral, internal referrals too, and a lot of satisfied customers do give us references of other potential family and friends who are interested in buying with us. So they do come to us, and we're very very happy when that happens too, because the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and that reference, when it comes from one satisfied customer, gives us a lot of joy.
So Ajay, you said a relation of CP is more important for selling up a project, but also making it, architects also play a very major role. So when you work with any of the architect, what are the three expectations that an architect should keep before designing a Vaswani building?
Chirag, one is the plan has to be extremely efficient in nature. Without that, we don't move to phase two. That is the elevation and the facade. Now, like I was telling you earlier in our discussion, that people's tastes have evolved too. So it's very important that we keep the facade design in sync with where the reality is today and where we see the next 3 years potentially and probably going to. So our facade should not be outdated or obsolete even 2 to 3 years from the time when we start the development, and when we hand it over, it should still be relevant in that micro market in that particular year. So these two things are very very important. The third is the additional focus on the designing of the amenities. That's very very important, because today everybody is hoping, wishing that do you have extra amenities in the project, or do you have something beyond just a gymnasium. So we do tell the architects that wherever possible, please maximize and go all out and design the finest amenities and show good render images wherein the clients do feel that, wow, I'm going to be a part of this opportunity in the future. So these three are critical uh, pillars behind which our brief to the architect usually moves on.
Okay. So along with architect, whenever you might be finalizing any vendor for example, you can say tiles or a bath and CP. So how is the negotiation process that you guys do in Vaswani with them? Do you see a price tag or do you do it with a single handshake by trusting a brand?
It always starts with the founder's handshake. I mean, there is no question about that. We like to believe, we like to trust the people that we work with. That's very, very important, because delivery is more important. If we have to pay a slightly extra price for a product, we're perfectly okay with doing that, as long as delivery time frames and schedules are uncompromised. uh, we're perfectly fine with that. We have no problem. And thankfully we've built some phenomenal vendor relationships over the last 3 to 3.5 decades. Quite a few of them are still in the system with us, and they really enjoy working with us. We enjoy working with them. So yes, we've been blessed with some very very positive vendor relationships.
So, Jay, it was really great listening about your journey, the vendor part, the finalizing of an architect that you're in the major, the sales part at Juhu project. Moving forward, Mumbai is in a different transition right now, more towards redevelopment. You are also taking a project for redevelopment. When you enter in a society, How do you manage when you are finalizing a project at Juhu example or at Borivali? How do you finalize the process overall?
Chirag, I firmly believe that this is a marriage, and it is not a marriage of convenience. It is a marriage of minds. You know, we're meeting together to solve a problem, and that problem is to give quality housing. To people who are looking at upgrading their lifestyles. So that's where we do offer our expertise, and we do, offer a plethora of services. Under the company that we have. Uh, we believe that the only way forward is together. And if I may add a catchword to this, is intelligent concessions on both sides of the fence, from us to the society members and the society members to us. When we give each other intelligent concessions, we have a winning formula in place, and that moves the process forward quicker, faster, with absolutely no issues. Once we meet, we discuss, we define timelines with them, we define the way forward with them, and we make sure that everything that we commit to them, we deliver, and most probably deliver it before time.
Okay, but even like before handing over the project to you, there are chances many society members also have a fear within. Is the builder correct? Will he deliver us on time? How you handle that kind of questions when any society members pitching you?
It's very simple. We just tell them, look at our track record. We have 100% OC track record. We've delivered everything either on or before time, till date. We've never faltered on our commitments. We have a fabulous equation with a lot of institutional financing companies, with banks, NBFCs, and we've delivered. So we do tell them that you're more than welcome to run a background check about our finances, our equations with the top law firms in the city. So yes, we do tell them that we're very transparent, we're very open. By all means, go ahead and ask us any questions that are going to help resolve your apprehensions about redevelopment in itself.
Okay. So moving forward, society redevelopment has always been a pain task for everyone. It takes 6 months, it takes 1 year, it takes even more than 2 years to finalize the whole process. And in the between of these conversations, when you do with society, there are many demands of society members as well. So how you try to fulfill that?
Same thing, intelligent concessions. We know where we have to cede ground, and we know where we have to hold strong. And eventually, one or both sides understands that it's no point in dragging it along, because the interests of the majority are always important. And we do find ways and means to make compromises, make concessions, and we move forward. That's no problem.
So a redevelopment project in Juhu and a redevelopment project in Borivali, is there a different mindset of people?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Like
Mindset is
how,
different.
like what kind of things are different when it comes to redevelopment in both the area?
When it comes to areas like Kandivali and Borivali, they expect maybe slightly more extra area, because they live in that micro market where the homes are anyway slightly on the smaller side. So they want slightly larger homes, compared to what you're probably going to give in other micro markets. So their expectations are on the area side is slightly higher. Whereas on this side of the fence, let's say from Bandra to Jew, the expectation is not just area, but it's also, the architect that you're going to be getting on board, the amenities that you're going to offer, what kind of parking systems you're going to offer as well. So the conversations are a little more varied from Bandra to Jew, and a little more stabilized and one-tracked towards the deeper part of the suburbs.
Okay, so do you believe redevelopment is more a civil engineering or it's more towards a human psychology?
Absolutely psychology and relationship driven. There's absolutely no two ways at all about that. You know, engineering is anyways going to be required to put up the building, whether it's Bandra or whether it's Daisar. But human psychology, relationship management, that's the key driver that defines how this relationship moves ahead.
So Jay, you really well explained on the redevelopment part. Moving forward, अभी if you see redevelopment हो रहा है बॉम्बे में, everybody wants to enter Mumbai market to construct buildings. If anyone who is a new entrant in a Mumbai, if he has 100 crores to construct a building, what are the mistakes he's likely to make?
By investing 100 crores in one project, that's going to be a tactical error. So my advice to him would be that spread the investments across 3 to 4 projects, spread the risk, hire good teams, because teams are what are going to actually run your business, well, or they'll run it to the ground. That depends on you. Engage with the customer, engage with your vendors, and engage with your architects. The three important pillars of the business. That's very, very important. And primarily steer clear of unnecessary controversies and just keep your focus on your business, on your customer, and positive narratives.
Okay. So Ajay, talking about the timing of the market in real estate, everybody is asking when to buy a property, when to buy a property. As a developer, what you suggest? What is the right time to buy a property?
Today,
Okay.
absolutely. And I have no doubt about it that the markets are doing very well. There's no complaints. Uh, Customers are out there. They're looking. They are closing. Yes, of course, the options for them have increased. No doubt about that. And hence, due to that, their time frame to take a decision has also increased. But that's also a positive uh, outcome that there are so many good high quality developers and developments happening around that's giving the customers a problem of a plenty, most importantly. So there's never been a better time to buy. And thankfully, I've been observing that there are so many projects, so many developers doing great work. Architecturally, they are constantly increasing the envelope of more world-class developments. And this is absolutely the best time for customers to come in and close the deal soon.
Okay. So Ajay, if someone is confused on buying a under construction flat or a ready to move in, what is your filter for them?
So Chirag, that filter is very simple. If you do not have time, and if time is a constraint for you, then you obviously your best opportunities are that you go for something that is ready possession with OC. Of course, then that does come at a higher price because the developer has already completed construction sales during the construction phase, and whatever is a limited amount of inventory that will be available will go at a certain premium. However, on the under construction side, that if you are willing to wait it out, you're working with a credible developer, whether it is a listed, non-listed, that doesn't matter. As long as the developer has a good track record of delivery, uh, you then get an advantage to come in at an early stage and take in a pretty reasonable discount as well.
Okay. So Ajay, does a new coastal road or a new metro which are coming to the areas of Warsaw, Charkop it has reached Worli. So does they really bring a value to your home or it's just a marketing gimmick?
Uh, the all these major infrastructure and urban transportation projects that have taken off in the last 10 or 12 years, courtesy the current government, and they're doing a tremendous job with regards to infrastructure development. uh, this is going to change the game. It's going to change the narrative for how we experience our city, for how real estate shapes up in the MMR over the next 1 decade, with multiple metro lines coming, tunnel systems coming, cutting down travel times dramatically. That's also going to be encouraging people to potentially consider shifting their micro markets to, maybe to something that they always aspired to, but they never wanted to take a decision because the travel time is too high. So with the upcoming, metro connectivity, with the fabulous coastal road that this city is seeing, I think it's going to be absolutely a phenomenal decade to come. There's
Okay.
absolutely no doubt about that.
So all the home buyers, it is the right time to buy. Listen to Ajay, what he's saying. So
Absolutely
invest your money right now.
true.
So Ajay, like talking to you feel like very normal, chill kind of a guy. Talking more towards a Vaswani family as a whole. How a normal Monday looks like in a Vaswani office? Is it a pressure or it's fully a family vibe?
It's high octane, high pressure with a dose of humor.
Okay. So Ajay, when you hire someone, what is the one trait that you don't see in resume where you feel that this person should not work with me?
Uh, Conversationally, if I am convinced that integrity is no challenge, then I'll definitely go for that person. You
Okay.
know, because results can go up and down, but integrity is something that is beyond reproach, and there can be no doubt that
Okay.
integrity is something that's going to drive organizations either high up or below the ground.
Okay.
And we are very clear about that the integrity of the person matters most to us.
Okay.
And we are lucky, we're blessed that we have a fabulous team on board, and each one of them is integral in nature and in task, in terms of taking the group's legacy forward. So very happy with that.
So how is the staff strength right now for Vaswani Group?
We're at about 42 strong.
Okay. And you guys would have divided marketing, sales.
That's right. Yes,
business
we do.
development.
We do. Yes.
ओके. तो जैसा अच्छा लगा आपसे बात करके, आपसे बारे में जान के, आपकी चीज़ें समझ के, और बाकी टॉपिक्स जो हमने डिस्कस किए. Moving forward, if we talk about Vaswani, anybody who is crossing a Vaswani project 50 years down the lane, what is the one thing that you want they should notice?
I mean, they should still be amazed at how this building has maintained its quality, and give that V logo of Vaswani credit for it. And that is something that we want to be known for. When the legacy keeps moving forward, that you should just look at that building and be like, is this a Vaswani building? That's how good the quality is.
Okay.
So that is something that we are in our vision working towards. We work very hard with the engineering team to maintain quality standards of the highest order. Even if it means it's a higher spend, so be it. But quality, unmatched, uncompromised.
Okay.
And that's what we would like our customer 50 years from now, when they see an old building, they should be able to resonate with that quality, that it's a Vaswani building.
Okay. Is there any specific project or a landmark where Vaswani project, or as individual you are eyeing ki that will be my dream project?
Let me put it this way, that it's more like a wish list that I have to probably make the tallest building in the world in India.
Okay.
And this will be a building that will have a nerve center of its own, that will go beyond and beyond perhaps AI, that will operate and sustain by itself at the lowest cost possible.
Okay. So talking about, if you were not in a real estate, what are the other kind of passion if you would have been doing it?
I don't think so. I wouldn't have been doing anything else.
Okay.
I mean, real estate is my love, my passion, everything for me. So
okay.
I don't see myself as anywhere else but over here.
Okay. तो अजय, अच्छा लगा आपसे बात करके, आपकी चीज़ें समझ के. But before we end the show, here we begin the rapid fire round. So here we begin the rapid fire round, Ajay. Okay. Bangalore's weather or Mumbai's hustle?
Mumbai's hustle any day.
Okay. A penthouse with a sea view or a row house with a private garden?
Penthouse with a sea view.
Okay. One word that describes the Mumbai real estate market?
Breathtaking.
Negotiating with a landlord or convincing a BMC officer?
You mean which is harder?
Haan.
Okay, I'm going to make sure I don't fall in trouble, so it's the first one.
Okay. The most expensive mistake you would have ever made?
Missed a couple of acquisition opportunities.
Okay, and
that
where were
eventually turned up to be, they got about 8 or 10x returns for some developers who had acquired those plots.
Okay. So luxury is comfort, status or privacy?
Privacy.
Okay. If not a developer, Ajay Vaswani would be?
A developer.
Okay. So thank you, Ajay. Here we end our rapid fire round.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being my guest on
Thank you so much for having me. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajay. तो दोस्तों, उम्मीद है आपको ये एपिसोड पसंद आया होगा. अगर आपको ये एपिसोड पसंद आया तो इस वीडियो को लाइक करें, शेयर करें एंड इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें. हर ड्रीम घर की शुरुआत एक परफेक्ट एंट्रेंस से होती है. इसलिए हमारे शो के पावर्ड बाय पार्टनर है कल्पतरू डोर्स एंड प्लाईवुड, इंडियाज नंबर 1 डोर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ब्रांड. ऑल्सो ऐसे ही नए गेस्ट, नए दोस्त आते रहेंगे. टिल देन, सी यू.